This tutorial is going to show you how to find the slope if you're given a pair of coordinates, or maybe you're given several coordinates, not just two, or you're given a table. Okay, so anytime you have 2 coordinates, 3 coordinates, it doesn't matter, you have to use your formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So this is just a formula that is going to help us find the slope or the rate of change of ordered pairs or a table. Okay? So what we have to do is we have to first label the coordinates. So we know in a coordinate x comes first, so that makes the second one a y. And this is also an x, which makes the second one a y. So now we need to label some of them with a 1 and some of them with a 2. And it doesn't matter what you label as long as the pairs go together. So for example, if you label this one 1, this x 1, then the y that goes with it has to also have that same number. So they have to go together. Okay? And then if I label these 1s, then that means these are going to be 2s. You could have done it the other way. You could have labeled these with 2s and these with 1s. It doesn't matter as long as the x and the y that are a pair have the same number. So now we're just going to take this information and plug it into our formula. So y sub 2, I labeled that as 8. Minus, because that's in our formula, y sub 1 is 3. X sub 2 was 7. Minus x sub 1 was negative 2. Okay, so once you wrote your formula down, you labeled your numbers, now we are just solving. So 8 minus 3 is 5. And 7 minus a negative 2, if that looks weird to you, you can use our rule, keep, change, change. So I can keep the first number, change, let me do it in a different color, change the sign, and change the second number. So if it was negative, now it's positive. So now I have 7 plus a positive 2. That's the same as 7 plus 2, which is 9. Double check, I cannot reduce, so that is my slope or my rate of change. And let's talk about what that means. The rise is getting bigger by 5, and the reason I know it's bigger is because it's a positive. And the run is getting bigger by 9. And the reason I know it's bigger is it's also a positive. Okay, so let's look at something like this one. Don't worry about the question, just look at the table. So I want to find the slope or the rate of change of this table. So when we have a table, we're going to use that formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So now I have my formula, but now I have to label these. So the y's are going down, and the x's are also going down. So pay attention to where the table's going. So one of these x's needs to have a 1, and one of them needs to have a 2. It doesn't matter. You could have done the first one with a 2 and the next one with a 1. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is that the y that goes with this x has to have the same number. So this is a 1, so the y that goes with it's going to have a 1. This x has a 2, so the y that goes with it is going to have a 2. And now we are just going to plug in our numbers. So y sub 2, well, I labeled that as 2. Minus y sub 1 was 1. So I'm just getting this information from what I labeled in my chart. X sub 2 was 5 minus x sub 1 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 minus 0 is 5. I cannot reduce or simplify, so that is my slope. So this is my rise over my run. So my rise is up 1 because it was positive, and right 5 because it was a positive 5. Okay, let's do one more. So find the slope given the table below. So now, same thing, we have a table, so we know when we have to find the slope or the rate of change, we're going to use our formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay? So now I have to label, but be really careful because this time the x's are going across, so are the y's. I only need 2, so this one is just extra, or one of them is extra depending on how you label. One of the x's needs to have a 1, one of them needs to have a 2. The y that goes with the x that has a 1 will also have a 1, and the y that goes with the x with a 2 will also have a 2. And now we just plug in. So y2 is 14 minus, be really careful, where is y1? It's right here, 7. X sub 2 is 4 minus, because that's in our formula, x sub 1 is 2. So I got 7 over 2, so the rise was 7, it's going to go up 7 because it was positive. The run is 2, so it's going to go right 2 because it was positive. But 7 over 2 is an improper fraction, so I turned it into a decimal. I happen to know that off the top of my head. If you didn't, you could divide the numerator by the denominator.